So I have to admit, I kind of thought that Fujifilm had lost the plot. When I saw the announcement for the Fujifilm X-M5, I was a little worried. I was like, great, the Intax cameras sell so well. They're just going to focus totally on the consumer market, make more plastic, fantastic cameras, not really learn from the X106 that there's a prosumer market that wants a well-made, retro, fun, soulful camera like they used to make, XE line, X Pro line, But now that it's out, like, the camera makes a lot of sense to me. I'm also encouraged by the fact they announced some prosumer to pro APS-C lenses. That 16 to 55 looks good. I've pre-ordered it, honestly. Going to be making some videos about the XH cameras versus the R5 II. I think it's a more favorable comparison than people realize. And then that 500 millimeter, that's a pretty pro looking lens. If it's good enough for medium format, it's definitely good for APS-C. So, I don't think they've totally forgotten about us, like prosumers to pros, or just people with too much money to spend on camera equipment. But, especially the end part of the video where the CEO or head of the imaging division or whatever, has the one more thing, and then there's two cameras under towels, I think there's probably an X Pro 5 or some sort of fixed lens, medium format, or even full frame camera under the bigger towel. And I'm pretty sure the smaller towel had some kind of half frame, even more consumer digital camera. Maybe even that like prints photos out. I don't know. That would make sense. And kind of going to the old roots of what made Fujifilm popular in the first place. Us long suffering X Pro 3 users, XT3 users, XH2, etc. The XH2 is almost 4 years old now. I mean, I had gotten so discouraged with Fuji that I was trying stuff like this with the Hasselblad X2D because I didn't want to have to get locked into the GFX system if Fujifilm had completely lost the plot. But I'm happy that, I don't have to do things that are maybe this crazy, and also that are turning out not to really work. And I think that actually the XM5 represents like a really smart move from Fuji. I think it was sort of them taking their time to make a consumer vlogger friendly camera, really leaning towards that video stuff. And they did a pretty darn good job. I've made this little chart here that I'll throw up on the screen. And as you can see, the XM5 is the cheapest of the other sort of, popular vlogging cameras that the major video, consumer video camera manufacturers have put out recently. The Panasonic S9 and then the Sony ZVE-10 Mark II. I think they waited, a little bit. They learned from the mistakes of these two, and they made the most compelling offering of the three. And it's the cheapest. So as you can see here, the price of the XM5 body only is $799. The S9 is almost double at $1499. And then the Sony ZVE-10 II is in the middle at about $1,000. So the way I did this, and you can look at the chart for yourself, I'm not going to go over every single item, but if it's yellow, it means it's an advantage just for that camera. If it's orange or green, it means it is shared with another camera. If it's orange, it means that the Fuji and the Panny share it. And if it's green, it means the Fuji and the Sony share it. So as you can see, the XM5 has 7 features above one of its competitors. The Panny has 5, but they're a weak 5, I'll tell you. And then the Sony ZVE-10 only has 3. And in reality, especially at its price point, the Panny S9 should be the best one, right? But as it is, its only advantages are full frame, which isn't that huge of an advantage for a video camera. And then it has IBIS, and it has the best IBIS in the business. Panasonic's image stabilization is the best. But everything else is basically worse about the camera, and it costs almost double the Fuji, and it's still $500 more than the Sony, And then the Sony compared to the XM5, really the only thing that it has better than the XM5, in my opinion, is better autofocus. And if Fuji fixes their autofocus, or at least makes it decent in video, then there's no advantage to using the Sony. And that is a soulless, plasticky, fantastic-y, really unfun camera to use. But for video, you hit record and it works, right? The autofocus works, everything works. You know, the Fuji, as with all Fuji cameras, you'll probably have to set it up a little bit, but once you set it up, it'll be just as easy to use. So if they fix the autofocus, the soul of the Fuji camera, I think, beats that out. So, you know, in sum, the Fuji X-5 shoots 6K. It has a mechanical shutter. It's got a joystick. It's got a hot shoe. You know, it's got the best film simulations out of the three. It has a vertical mode. All these things that a content creator could want. It's super light and compact. It's in the same form factor as the X100VI. You know, this neat little grip, and then it's kind of a square body. And I think it's going to be smaller and lighter. Obviously at the $800 price point, which is the price point the X-T50 should have been at, just saying. I get they're repositioning it, pushing it up in the line, and it does have a great set of features. It is a fun camera to use. They should have put an ISO dial on it if it's over $1,000. But anyways, the film simulation dial, whatever, you know, it should be an ISO dial on all cameras. Point is that it's going to be the X-M5 is the right price, which the X-T50 still should have been, and it'll be a little smaller and plasticier, but it'll be this form factor, and I think this is one of their best, most fun, soulful form factors, and I actually think it'll be a great companion to this, right? You use this as your photo camera, and then when you need to film yourself, you have the flip around screen with the X-M5, and it's light and compact, and you know, you can bring it with you everywhere, and both of these will fit in your two pockets if you need to, you know. Really good form factor choice. I also think it's small enough, like with Fuji's 18mm and 27mm lenses, that, you know, it's going to give the Ricoh GR3 series a run for your money. It's interchangeable lens. You can put, you know, whatever it is, the diffusion filter is a new version of the Ricoh GR3 that's sold out in Japan. You can just put the filter in the front, you know, with the Fuji X-M5. No viewfinder, but same thing, you know, rinky-dink screen, and it's very pocketable with those lenses. So, you know, really a smart form factor and size choice. So pretty exciting. So yeah, I mean, I'm rambling a little bit here, but point is that you've got a 6K capable camera with mechanical shutter, with a joystick, unfortunately no EVF, unfortunately no IBIS, at a very compelling price. So I think it is the best sort of like content creator, entry-level, camera-curious camera coming out on the market. As such, especially because I'm really excited about Fujifilm, because of all this, I've actually pre-ordered one. I also pre-ordered the 16 to 55, you know, so kind of in, you know, playing both sides of that. And I'm really interested to see this camera. I would, you know, it's got a mic jack, so I could make all the YouTube videos I need on that little camera. It's got the vertical mode, so I could do shorts on it too. So it might honestly be all the video camera I need for, at least for this YouTube channel, not for professional things, you know, corporate gigs, weddings, things like that. But for this stuff, it might be just perfect, you know, throw it in the car, go with you. Also a good little street shooter when you don't have your X100VI, or you want to, you know, you're going to have to film yourself and you need the flip out screen to do a little vlogging. You know, it'll do okay for photos too, I would bet. So, you know, pretty neat stuff. Oh yeah, I should mention it's not the 40 megapixel sensors, the older X-T4 26 megapixel sensor, which is actually better for video in the sense that you can shoot 6K open gate, which is pretty freaking nuts for an $800 camera, right? So yeah, for all of these reasons, I've pre-ordered one, I'm getting one, so more to come on it. Just kind of want to make this video, giving my thoughts and like kind of passing along the good news, you know, that I think Fujifilm actually did a pretty good job on this, is kind of like done something smart. You know, the last few releases, less so, you know. I feel like it's been a rough year or two in terms of releases outside of the X100VI. So, you know, good to see Fujifilm doing something new, unique, and creative. That's one of my favorite things about Fujifilm, is that they're really the only camera company that goes out and tries something nuts once in a while, you know. You know, like Pentax did this half frame camera that was kind of nuts, but then they have nothing else, you know. Nikon's being nuts is the ZF, which is like such a no-brainer. I think Canon's going to come out with one that'll be interesting next year. But anyways, now I'm just waffling. XM5, better than expected. I'm pre-ordered one. I'm excited about it. I think Fuji did an interesting and smart thing here. So would love to hear your thoughts about it. Is this a ridiculous purchase? Am I just throwing away $800? Did Fuji get it right? Or has Fuji completely lost the plot and they're just making cameras for kids? And I've got to stop hoping that they'll come back to the fold and make things like the X Pro line, and that they'll do better with the GFX line, maybe make a retro GFX, you know? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.